Hello and welcome back. My name is Dr. Jess, and today we're going over stretches for your low back. You're going to start by lying down on your mat facing the ceiling. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. You're going to take this moment to slow down your breathing and just really tune in. Is it your chest that's mostly rising, or is your belly rising too? If you notice that it's mostly your chest rising and there's not much movement coming from your belly, you'll want to focus on expanding at your lower rib cage in a 360-degree fashion. I often find that placing my hands along my lower rib cage helps me tune into this a little bit more. You'll want to focus on breathing into your belly, but also into your sides and into your low back. Inhale for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale or breathe out for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Taking some time to focus on slowing down your breathing allows you to get into a rest and digest phase versus always feeling like you're in a fight or flight phase. This 360-degree breathing technique is great when you feel like you have a high level of stress that needs to be reduced, or when you just feel like you need to relax. It's also great to try if you struggle with getting to sleep at night. Next, you're going to pull your left knee in towards your chest with your hands. While you do this, allow your head and torso to remain relaxed on your mat. You should feel this stretch in your glute or buttock region, as well as some of the muscles in your inner thigh. Where you don't want to be feeling this is in the front hip that you are stretching. It might feel like a pinch. If you're getting that, ease back on the stretch just a little bit. Continue to practice your 360-degree breathing as you perform this stretch as well. We have now done about 30 seconds of this stretch on this side. So we're going to slowly lower our left leg and switch sides. We're now pulling our right knee up towards our chest with our hands, still allowing our head and our torso to stay relaxed down on the mat. When you're stretching this side, you might notice a slight difference in the flexibility or the stretch of the muscles that you have from side to side. Tune in. Does this side feel easier or a bit harder to stretch compared to your left side? Either way, make a mental note of that, as that might be something that you want to look into, either further stretching, working on your mobility, or strengthening in the future. What I've noticed in practice is that oftentimes our non-dominant leg is less flexible. Next, we're going to pull both knees into our chest just for a nice deep stretch. This is a stretch that you'll probably continue to feel in your glutes, but you might feel a little bit more deeply into your low back with this one as well. But just as we are looking for in the previous few stretches, with this one, we're just looking for this one to feel like a stretch, no pain. So you shouldn't be getting any pain in your low back with this stretch. This is another one where I really like to focus on slowing down and just really paying attention to my breathing. Longer inhales and longer exhales, really taking it into that rest and digest mode. After about 30 seconds in this stretch, we're going to slowly relax our legs back down towards the floor, this time allowing our arms to rest palms down right below us. Staying in this sort of bent knee position, we're just going to tip our knees together from side to side. This allows for a really nice stretch of some of our low back and glute musculature. And it also works on the mobility of some of our low back and hip joints as well. This is one of my favorite movements to do for SI joint pain and low back pain caused by menstrual cramps. It's a really simple and easy movement to do that you can do straight from your bed or even just lying on the floor. We're going to head back to that starting position with our knees bent and feet placed at hip width apart. You're going to squeeze your glutes to lift your hips up into a glute bridge. At the top of the glute bridge, you shouldn't be experiencing any low back pain. You should just really be feeling a nice contraction of your glute muscles and maybe a little bit of work through the back of your thigh or your hamstring muscles. With this, you should also feel as though your core is active through the entire movement, especially through the top. One way to ensure that your core stays active throughout this movement is to prevent your rib cage or your ribs from flaring upwards at the top of the movement. So they should really try to stay in line with your pelvis. For our next movement, we're going to be flipping over onto our stomachs and lying on our mat. And I just want you to rest on your forearms with your elbows placed pretty much directly underneath your shoulders. In this position, I want your glutes and your low back muscles to relax, and I just want you to let your hips sink into the ground. You might feel this as a bit of a stretch into your core muscles, but this is a really great exercise to do if you experience back pain when bending over, say, to reach in the dishwasher or to grab something off the floor. To take this up a notch, you can straighten your arms out, just giving you a little bit more height into the stretch. This more intensified version is where I tend to feel more of a stretch through my core muscles, but you want to ensure that you keep your glutes and low back muscles relaxed at this more intensified version of the stretch as well. The closer you place your hands to your body, the higher you'll press up as you head into this sort of Mackenzie extension prone press up stretch that we are doing. Next exercise, we're staying on our fronts, but this time allowing our knees to be as wide as our yoga mat, big toes touching as we stretch our hands out nice and long into wide leg child's pose. This is another really great one to do if you struggle with SI joint pain or low back pain caused from your menstrual cramps. In a second here, we're just going to walk our hands towards the right side of our mat. This allows us to get a nice side body stretch through our left side, in through our lats and our upper arm muscles. This one's really great if you've been doing a lot of upper body workouts, maybe back workouts lately, or even if you just spend a lot of time sitting. We're going to walk our hands back through center over to the left side, this time to stretch our right side body. This is another one where you might notice sort of flexibility differences between sides, and oftentimes it can depend on which side is your dominant side as well. So oftentimes I feel like I have less flexibility on my right side because I'm right hand dominant. Okay, you can relax out of that position. We are going to shift our left leg forward and through, keeping our shin as parallel as we can to the front of our mats. And we're just allowing our glutes and our body to sink down into this position. You'll really feel this in through your left glutes, maybe a little bit through your left inner thigh as well. And this is one you can stay sort of propped up on your fingertips throughout, just for some extra support. So you're not putting all your body weight into the stretch. We're going to shift sides here, this time bringing our right leg through. You'll notice, now having a better view, that my right shin is almost parallel with the front of the yoga mat, and I'm still staying propped up on my hands. You'll notice both my hips are facing forward, so even my left leg, my left kneecap is facing down towards the ground, so I'm getting a bit of a stretch through the hip flexors on that side as well. For our next stretch, we're going to get into a kneeling lunge position, starting on our right side. Your left knee is going to maintain contact with the ground with this entire exercise. You're going to squeeze your glutes forward and then shift your weight forward until you feel a stretch through your left hip flexors. For a bit of a deeper stretch, you can reach over with your left arm towards the right side. This is one you'll definitely have to remind yourself not to hold your breath, so remember to breathe. If you can also continue to practice that 360-degree breathing technique that we practiced at the start. We are just going to switch legs here, stepping forward with our left leg now. And one of the most important keys of this stretch is that you squeeze your glutes forward before actually hinging forward into the lunge. This time you're reaching over to the left side with your right arm until you feel a nice stretch along the front of your right hip.